What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dave Show. So, I'm sitting in my car on my lunch break right now. Mine's kind of wandering. I'm thinking about everything, everything going on in the world, and obviously I think of things from a preparedness mindset. And if you're like me and you ever just sit there doom scrolling and pondering the end of the world on your lunch break, then hit that subscribe button down below. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, so I've done a video. It was one of my first videos on my everyday carry and get home bag. And I encourage everyone to have a get home bag. I think it's even more important than a bug out bag in most situations. And I think you should bring it with you every time you leave your house. So I do that. I'll show you. It's in my back seat. There it is right there. But the get home bag's only going to get you so far in practicality, right? So I'm in construction. I can be working on the same job for years at a time. I could be working on a new project every couple months. And for me, I haven't been on a job for longer than a project for longer than 2 months since prior to New Year's of this past year. Which kind of makes things annoying in some ways. But anyways, right now I am working exactly 30 miles driving from my house. And the purpose of this video and why I'm making it today is because I've been running through in my head kind of a thought exercise on, okay, let's say whatever it were, something happens, some sort of disaster scenario has just occurred, all right, and my phone's not working, whatever. Now I got to figure out, okay, how am I going to get home? Is my car running? If it's a yes, then that's obvious. I'm going to drive home. I'm going to try and avoid highways and major routes and make my way home through the back roads if possible. Things like that. But for the main purpose of this conversation, we're going to say, all right, my cell phone's got no service. My car's not starting. I got an emergency broadcast alert on my phone 10 minutes ago with vague information about large explosions in major cities, let's say. And now my phone's got no service, my car won't start, what have you. Okay. I need to get home. I need to make sure my family's okay. I need to do whatever. All right, you guys understand the premise of a get home bag, I'm sure, at this point. So, yes, I have my bag with me, okay? What else am I gonna do? Like, I'm in my work clothes. I'm in jeans, work boots, a t-shirt, my hat and sunglasses. I got a raincoat with me, an extra sweatshirt in my bag. I got an IFAC. I got my EDC, my entire EDC. And what I also have is a pair of hiking boots in my back seat as well. So those are all things that I think I would need in any type of disaster or emergency scenario to get myself home. Things to consider, okay? I have done enough research sitting here on my lunch breaks, looking at the Google Maps and everything else, that I have a primary route home and I have 2 alternates. And luckily where I'm working right now, it's in an area kind of near where I grew up, and I know the area very well. I do have a paper map and a compass obviously with me, things of that nature. But yeah, so I'm looking at a 30-mile walk home from the job site I'm on now. I'm estimating that I'll be probably walking about 10 miles a day. I'm thinking this is like a 3 to 4 day journey, all things considered. So, once again, I encourage you guys to go back and watch my get home bag video so you kind of know what I'm working with here in terms of what I typically have on me day to day. The only other things that I have that are not shown in that get home bag video is especially because it's the summer, and I'm working outside in a parking lot with barely any shade. I've upped my water game. So in addition to the 40-ounce clean canteen water bottle that stays full and stays in my backpack, I've been bringing this insulated 50, I think it's 50 ounce, 50 quart, no, not quarts, ounces. So there's a 50-ounce insulated water bottle that I fill with ice and water to keep me going throughout the day. So between my water bottle I keep in my backpack and this, I've got 90-ish ounces of water. All right, and then we have a cooler out on the site that we have stocked with bottles of water too. So at least in this scenario that I'm kind of making up on the fly here and talking about in a video, what am I gonna do? I am gonna immediately slam at least 3 regular Poland Spring bottles out of the cooler as fast as I can drink them. I'm gonna try and hydrate as much as possible before I leave the place I'm at. Now, obviously, if you are somewhere where something has happened and you got to get off the X, get out of there immediately, this is going to be a little different for you. But in this scenario, this is a practical, real-life scenario for me because of where I'm working right now. I'm at a parking lot. We're putting in a bunch of electric vehicle chargers, and it's behind a huge warehouse building, and it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. So I personally am not as concerned with having to immediately like, oh shit, let's go and dip at this location. Now, sometimes I work in major cities, sometimes I work in Boston, sometimes I work in Providence, you name it, right? And those are going to be some different factors to consider. But for me, for right now, this is where I'm at. So I'm going to immediately chug like 3 to 4 bottles of water, make sure that I am as hydrated as possible before I go anywhere. All right. I have some food in my backpack. I do not have 3 to 4 days worth of food in my backpack because it's just a small get home bag, right? I carry it with me everywhere, every day. And then in my bag too, I have some water filtration. So I'm going to immediately hydrate as much as possible before leaving here. I may even grab an extra bottle or 2 of water, to however many I can fit in my backpack, to take with me as well. Plus this, plus my other 40-ounce water bottle that's in the backpack too. It's July, 4th of July is in 2 days, so happy 4th, everybody. So it's hot. It's been very hot. We've been in 80s, 90s. We were over 100 2 days last week. The humidity has been insane. So I know for a fact that I am going to be sweating profusely on this entire journey home. So, and I'm probably going to have to find a water source somewhere between here and there. So I've been looking on the maps at not only the routes that I'm planning on, my primary alternate routes that I would take home. I've already kind of looked and said, like, okay, where is there some water sources on the way, and things of that nature as well. And then obviously I start thinking too, okay, well, if it's really hot during the day, maybe I wait till night. Maybe I wait, it all depends on what time of day this happens. There's a lot of factors involved too. Like, did you just get to work? Have you been at work all day? And at the end of the day, this happens. All things to kind of consider, right? But, I mean, if it's wicked hot out and you have the ability to move at night, maybe you should move at night. Maybe it'll be a little less dangerous to move at night when there's not as many people around. You don't really know. I'm not like making this crazy scenario. I'm just kind of giving some basic parameters and outlines for it. So what am I going to do? I'm going to chug as much water as possible. I'm going to plus up on as much water as possible as I can in my backpack. I'm going to put my hiking boots on. I'm going to quickly run through my car, and I'm going to see if I've got anything like granola bars or anything else laying around. Because I buy boxes of Nature Valley bars and I throw them in my car, like just reaching in my back seat here, right? What do we got? I just grabbed a Nature Valley bar, and I got some Fruit Punch Pedialyte. All right, so here's your electrolytes and stuff like that. But these are things that I'm gonna wanna just quickly look through my vehicle. I'm gonna throw them in my backpack for the journey ahead, okay? And then I am going to start walking. I mean, I'll also try and see if the AM or FM radio in my car is gonna pick anything up, but since the car won't start, that's probably a no-go anyways. I'm gonna talk to the people that are around me, the guys that I'm working with, see if they have any idea what's going on and what have you. I'm gonna tell them what I'm planning on doing. I'm not gonna invite them to come back to my house with me, but it's gonna be more of a, hey, this is what's happening. I'm not sticking around. I'm gonna take off on foot and try and get back to my house. Now, if you're heading in the same general direction, feel free to come with me. If not, I wish you the best of luck. You know, grab some extra waters from the cooler or sit here. Do whatever you want to do, right? So then I'm gonna start to walk. Now, unfortunately, there's only kind of one way in and out of the place I'm at. So I have to go down that road for a little ways until things kind of branch out. And in that time, I'm gonna try and do some sort of assessment on, okay, what's happening? Are there other vehicles driving around? Is nobody driving around? Are any stores still open? Are there just a bunch of people kind of milling about, walking around, confused? You know, is shit blowing up and on fire? Like, those are all going to kind of change my mindset and the way I'm thinking of getting home while encountering the least amount of threats possible. So let's assume that everything is kind of, besides there being no power, no cell service, no vehicles running, in this exact area, everything seems kind of, besides that, normal. Okay. Well, maybe I do feel okay then walking down this main road for a little further and keep following it, you know? Or maybe I don't. Maybe it seems a little sketchy. Maybe I think I'm gonna cut down this side street, maybe get into the woods a little bit and walk parallel to this road if that's possible. Things of that nature, right? On the first day, especially being at my peak of hydration at that point, I am going to walk for as long and as far as possible, likely late into the night, to try and cover as much ground as possible. And like I said, I know this area fairly well. I understand my pace of walking fairly well, so on average, if I'm walking all day, even if I'm kind of walking slow and trying to evade and stay hidden and things like that, I'm confident, at least somewhat confident, that I can get between 8 to 10 miles in a day. All right. So I have mentally prepared myself now to understand that if something were to ever happen and I have to hoof it home, I kind of have a general game plan worked out. I've already kind of figured out some routes to and from where I'm going, and I have a rough idea of how long it's going to take me to get from where I'm at back to my house. And I guess the reason I'm kind of laying this all out here, maybe it's not very coherent, maybe it's a little all over the place, I don't know, but basically what I'm trying to get at is, it's great that you got a get home bag. It's great that you have a bug out bag. It's great that you're trying to prepare yourself to be able to handle those type of situations. But you're just dipping your toes at that point, right? So, you know, whether you work, it doesn't really matter where you work or what you do for work. If you work from home, I mean, you don't really need a get home bag. I mean, I guess you do if you go out shopping or something, right? But for the majority of us that have to go physically to work every day and come home at the end of that day, it's easier for someone if, like, let's say you work in an office, right? Like, your work location is not going to change. You go to the same building every day, you see the same people every day, you leave and go home, take the same route every day probably, but maybe that when traffic's bad over here, if you take this other side street or something, that you won't hit as much traffic and you'll get home faster, things like that. Maybe you do work in construction like I do. Maybe you go to different job sites in different places all the time. Like for me, I've run jobs 2 to 3 states away from my house. And that involves me actually bringing a much larger backpack with much more shit in it than versus like what I typically would have on me. But on average, I'm working within 30 to 40 miles or less from my house. Usually. And so every time I get to a new job site, a new location, I know I'm going to be here. Like this job I'm on, right? I'm going to be here for 3 months. I'm going to be here. I was here through June. Now it's July. I'll be here to the end of August. Okay. So I know that I now have a game plan for the next 3 months, at least a general outline of, if this happens, how am I going to get home? What routes am I going to take? What are my threats in the area? Where are my water resources in the area? Things of that nature. I would be crossing through or moving through a relatively, it's a city. It's not like a major city or a state capital or anything, but I'd be moving through a city to get back to where I live. So what considerations need to be made versus walking through this rural area that I'm in? Do I go around the city? How much is that going to add time? How much time is that going to add to my trip home because I'm now increasing the distance by going around? Or do I think, hey, I'll just cut right through the thing, I'll be fine? I mean, those are choices that you're going to have to make on an individual level based on your situation. I will say that the city that's in between me and my house, I won't be walking right through the center and downtown, but I'm going to kind of be cutting through the outskirts in a way that it won't add too much distance to my trip, but it'll also kind of keep me a little bit more away from the densest part of that population center, right? Yeah, so this is just kind of a general outline of my get home plan from work if something were to happen. And I mean, even let's say it's a slightly different situation, I'm able to start driving home from here, I'm still probably going to hydrate. I'm still going to try and get everything I can condensed and make sure it's all ready to go in my backpack in case I got to ditch the vehicle. And, if you do get to a point, which you may, where there's roadblocks, a bunch of vehicles stalled out, or a huge accident happened because everyone was going nuts because they got no service and they can't watch TikTok while they're driving or whatever, or their GPS isn't working and now they don't know where to go, even though they've lived in the same place for the last 20 years, that they can't be bothered to learn how to get anywhere. Who knows, right? You may be in a situation where, okay, I just cut my distance in half. Now I'm only 15 miles from home, but now I lost the vehicle. I'm out and I'm on foot. That's still better than having to walk the whole way, but I would just kind of encourage everybody to think about this stuff, kind of war game this stuff out, get a good game plan together, and not just a single plan, but like, think of it like a spoked wheel, right? Or like a hub's at the center and you got all these different spokes as different options for how you to get home. Because if you're putting all your eggs in one basket and then like you're forced to deviate from that plan, it's going to suck more to come up with that on the fly than if you've already kind of considered it and thought about it when you're not starving, thirsty, exhausted, whatever, yeah, so I'm probably going to cut the video off here, but anyways, I hope you guys have a great 4th of July, and I just kind of wanted to put this video out, a quick kind of thought exercise for everybody on, in my opinion at least, things that you should be thinking about in terms of like, okay, I have my get home bag, cool, Do you know how you're getting home from there? That's the next step. And that applies to a ton of different areas of both life and preparedness. So I just want to encourage everybody to start kind of thinking outside of the box a little bit with this stuff, or also just realizing that possession of gear does not mean, number one, that you're proficient with it, but it doesn't mean, number two, that that gear is going to really even help you at all if you don't have a plan to go along with it, especially in this type of scenario. But that's it. Like I said, guys, I hope you guys have a happy 4th, and I'll see you when I see you.